everybody. It's Debbie Cowan here with Closing Connections and my dear new friend, LaShandra Jackson. And she is Sean the Closer
Yes,
from Gold
ma'am.
Street Realty. So happy to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah,
I really
so
am.
yeah, well, you know what? I've been waiting a long time to have you sit in this chair. So now you're
Oh,
all mine.
oh,
So, and I'm going to call her Sean because that's
absolutely. My friends call me Sean.
that, and that's
So,
what I consider myself. So that's why I'm going to do
absolutely.
that. But you know, one of the reasons why we do this podcast or video, whatever you want to call it, is because we really want to kind of spotlight the agents
Hmm.
within our community. And everybody knows a little bit about you. They know that you're in real estate. They know that you've been a prior teacher.
Hmm.
But I like to ask some questions so that the community really gets to know who you are
Oh,
as a person. So, everybody talks about real estate, but we really like to just make sure that everybody knows who the real Sean is. So, a couple of questions that I'll start off with for you is I know that you were in the teaching profession.
hmm,
So, how long did you do that?
16 years.
16. And you were in the administrative part or?
I started in the classroom and then I became what they consider a coach. So I was a math coach where I would work with mostly the newer teachers, training them on the curriculum.
Oh,
And my main job was to make sure that the students who were below grade level, that I get them up to grade level.
well, that's kind of rewarding.
Yeah, it is.
So, why did you decide to go into real estate?
Well, HGTV.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding.
Okay,
Well,
so
that's one of the reasons. I love all things real estate. I love like do it yourself home projects. I love to just go and look at beautiful neighborhoods and houses. But the real reason is I bought my first house around 23 years old. And
wow, that's young.
it was a goal I set for myself. And I wish I had been more educated before I made the decision. Well, I had a realtor, we won't mention any names, that just wasn't a good realtor. Didn't educate me on the process. And what I later found out was this realtor was very wealthy. I don't know if it was through real estate, but I think real estate was more of a hobby.
Okay, and that's the tough thing.
Yeah, and so I just got into a bad deal. I mean, my house was beautiful. I had about 2 acres of land. Um, I bit
Here in
off.
Ocala?
It was in Rolling Hills.
Okay.
I kind of bit off more than I can chew. But beautiful house, 23. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wanted it. But she didn't educate me. I didn't get a survey on the land. And when I went to sell it, a cash offer came through and found out my house was built on someone else's property.
What?
It was brand new construction. And the lady that owned the property for over 20 years thought that the property next door belonged to her. So I thought I could quickly call her and do a quick claim deed because she never knew that was her property anyway.
Right.
But when I called her, she was in South Florida. When she found out about the mistake, she refused. She wanted to sue, not me, of course, but the builder. She did pursue that. We both walked away with about $5,000. And my buyer waited for me for about a month or two, but walked away.
I mean, did you finance it or did you pay cash?
No, my home?
Uh-huh.
No, I financed it. I was only 23.
I know.
I financed it with a balloon loan.
Okay.
I brought it around 2006 where we were just, you get a house and you get a house
Yep,
and you
everybody
get a house.
gets a house.
Yeah, and so I stepped into it in that way. And so
I'm surprised that the title company didn't figure it out.
Yeah, but it was that time, you get a house, you get a house, you get a house.
Did they sue the title company too?
No, they didn't sue the title company. No, it was a situation where everybody was buying houses, and again, the lender didn't even require a survey. It was you get a house, you get a house. So, anyways, I'm not ashamed to say that I had to do a short sale.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't have to.
Right.
I could afford my mortgage, but that's about all I could afford.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, you were house poor.
Yeah, and I didn't want to. I like to shop. I like to travel, and it just wasn't what I wanted. So I ended up short selling the house.
And that was during the time. That was the crash time.
So it was the perfect time. Everybody was walking away from their houses and stuff like that. But anyway, I short sold my house, and luckily, sometimes the lender can come after you for what's ever left over.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they did not come after me. They wiped the slate clean. And so maybe 2 to 3 years later, I purchased another home. I
You did.
saved my money up. And so after that, I was like, you know what? I didn't become a realtor immediately after that, but
Right.
in my heart of hearts,
You knew.
I knew I wanted to be a realtor because I want to educate people on the process.
And I was just going to say, I mean, based on your whole profession of
Yep.
teaching, I mean that you learned something with a big learn
Yeah.
with this situation. And I could see, and I know you now, so I've talked to you about certain clients and things. I know how you believe in that generational wealth of,
Absolutely.
yeah, and really being able to help these folks
Mhm.
that maybe nobody else would take the time to do.
Exactly.
Right. And
Exactly.
so when did you actually get your license?
2019.
Okay.
Hmm.
And so you've been actually full time.
Well,
Real.
absolutely not.
Okay.
Full time, actually, January of this year.
Oh
So
wow.
I was teaching and doing real estate. And, we like to say it's part time because you spend more. But for me, I felt like I was doing 2 full-time jobs
Mm-hmm.
for the past 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And
This is not a part time job.
it's not. I was exhausted. I mean, was I working it? Yes, I was, but
It
I
was
was,
taking its toll.
oh yeah, I was
Yeah.
exhausted.
Yeah.
I was. So I decided, I gave a lot of years to teaching, and I was just like, let me give something else a try. And
Mm-hmm.
so in
Well, I mean,
January,
that takes a lot of guts, especially when you have a profession behind
oh
you.
my gosh,
Yeah. So
it
yeah, and
was.
you have a family, right?
Well, I have a husband,
Uh huh.
and I have stepkids,
Okay,
but they're all
but they're
adults.
all grown.
Yeah, I don't have any children myself.
Okay, and so all the kids that you taught over the years, those were your
Those are
babies.
my babies, and I
Mm-hmm.
and I tell everybody that I have
Yeah.
848 kids. Yeah, but yeah, all the kids that I taught, I feel like they're my kids.
And did you teach in elementary or
Elementary,
and
yep,
yeah, good.
K through fifth.
Okay, and that's a good age. I mean, you can get them early that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little different these days, but yeah,
What do you
I
think's
love
going
children.
on? Yeah, what do
Ugh.
you think's going on with the education um, of our kids today?
Well, first thing is kids are raising kids. People are having kids too young,
Mm-hmm.
and then the kids have to go live with grandma,
Yeah.
and grandma is too old to really keep up with what's happening in the school. So that's a lot of what's going on. There
Mm-hmm.
is no one at home to help with homework, no one at home to give a stable foundation for education.
Mm-hmm.
Grandparents or young moms are just trying to get food on the table,
Yep.
just trying to put clothes on their back. They don't have time to show up to teacher conferences and
Right.
see what's going on because they're working two or
Yeah.
three jobs.
Yeah.
To me, I think that's where the issue lies.
Yeah, because I mean, it's funny when I think I'm one of the first generations
Hmm.
that came into the two income families, where the moms weren't at home all the time, taking care of the
Yep.
kids, doing the meals. And so my kids were really the first generation of having two parents
Yeah,
work,
which is important.
It is, but at the same time, they grew up in a different world than I did.
Yep.
And so, I think my age generation person is the one that literally goes, I got to do it all.
Yep.
I have to do it all. I have to make sure that I work my full-time job. I come
Hmm.
home, I do the meal, sit down with them, do the
Yep.
homework, because everything had to be perfect.
Absolutely.
And I think from a society standpoint where we are, because me looking on the outside, because I hear so many teachers that are just burnout,
Oh
and
yes.
they're trying to fund what the budgets don't fund,
Hmm.
and try using their own money when they don't make that much to begin with, but just the challenge of not having the parental support to help them kind of guide this child, and
And
it's
that's where it
sad.
lies.
And it's sad,
Yeah.
so everything's from the house. But so okay, so teacher, realtor, so how now that you're in it full time,
Hmm.
what do you think? I mean, is it something that you see as a long lasting career for you?
I
Do you
feel
love it?
I do love it. I feel like I can do it for the rest of my life,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm stepping more into investing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to have to chase the deal
Right.
for the rest of my life. I mean, commission based jobs are really tough.
Yeah.
So a lot of other doors are opening up for me as far as being able to really, really invest. I was already investing in land before I became a realtor. I
Okay.
was just buying up land.
Well, I mean, if you were 23 buying your first house, that tells me a
Yeah.
lot.
So I was just buying up property. I educated myself on the process of that. And I'm just like, man, I need to really be a realtor because I'm already investing in property
Yep.
now. So I don't think I want to do real estate on the terms of
Driving the
cold
buyers.
calling, knock, knock, door
Yeah,
knocking,
yeah.
not on that term for a lifetime. But I want to be in some type of real estate for the rest of my
So do you
life.
think are you doing specs or are
Yeah,
you thinking,
things like that, like flipping homes, building
uh-huh,
homes, selling homes. My dream is really to build communities in low poverty areas and make it affordable, meaning if they can't afford the home right then and there, then I would like to go into a like rent to own or lease to own program, and where I set up where they can build their credit and maybe give them 3 years to live in the house as we build their credit. But I do want to do it in low poverty stricken areas.
and give
Give
them the
and get an
opportunity for home
opportunity.
ownership?
Absolutely.
So that's really, really cool, because I had a gentleman when I first started really in the business myself years ago
Mm-hmm.
that did the same thing, and he did it a lot with the low income people
Mm-hmm.
that, but he would do the same thing. He would literally give them a mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
The funny part about it was that he would put the terms of the mortgage because I used to refinance them for him. But I would, he would put the terms of the mortgage to the end of time. That was a maturity date.
Oh,
So every single one of them,
to the end of
it wasn't
time.
a 30-year mortgage. It was till the end of
The
time.
time.
The time that the mortgage was over is the end of the time. So he
Oh.
would give them the same thing, 3 years, and he would work with them, help them get their credit. I would work with them.
Mm-hmm.
We would, and he would take $1,000 down. That was it. Then they paid whatever they paid. He would give like a couple $100 towards the purchase,
Mm-hmm.
so that by the time 3 years was up, they usually had their 3.5. We could refinance them to a FHA loan. And these people, and I mean, some of these houses, I remember them. They weren't great houses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at one point, I kind of thought he was almost taking advantage of them because what he was charging for this house
Oh my.
was a little bit on the,
Yeah.
but nobody else would have helped these folks.
Yeah.
So I felt so blessed that because when I would get them, their whole life had turned around. And once they would refinance and pay him off at the end of time,
Mm-hmm.
they would go buy another house.
House.
They would sell that one, get out of it because and they felt so much better about themselves. But there was one other guy, and I think I've told the story before, that was a builder out of close to the villages in Oxford,
Mm-hmm.
and he developed a subdivision out there called Parkwood,
Mm-hmm.
and he did the same thing. If I think I financed almost every house out there, but he would send them to me. I'd qualify them or not, tell him what the problem was, and he would hold a mortgage for them for 3 years. That's the magic number.
I don't know what three even came from for me.
That's funny.
The
Is
Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit must be.
Amen.
I don't know.
Yep. So 3 years. By that time, he would do a 3-year balloon. So it was principal and interest. They paid their own taxes and insurance.
Mm-hmm.
3-year balloon, and they had to refinance it in 3 years. So they were motivated, and these were brand new homes,
Mm-hmm.
nice homes. I mean that they couldn't get into anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, because of their credit. And every single one of those people that he did that for, he held the mortgage for. Every single one of
Wow.
them got.
I'm gonna need you to stick in this business so y'all can send my people to you.
Oh, I'm not going anywhere,
Just hang
girlfriend.
around a little longer.
Listen, I'll be the oldest loan originator known to man.
And the
I'll be coming in here going, "Hey, come
Yeah.
on in." So no, but
that is my dream to do
well,
that.
I hope
Yeah.
your dream comes true there. So you were telling me in our little break there that how you actually got into teaching was you were a parole officer too. Social work is your thing.
Yeah, so I went to Florida State University. I got my social work degree, and I started working for what was called Eckerd Youth. It actually used to be
Yeah,
located.
the Eckert's camp or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
So I didn't work at the camp per se, but when the juveniles had to be sent off to the camp for misbehaving, it's kind of like the juvenile jail.
Right.
When they came home, I'm the person that had to manage their
Manage them.
life, making sure they were going to school, if they needed counseling, setting that up, making sure that obeying curfew. So yeah, I was their little probation officer.
So, and you did that, and then you got into teaching because you said
Yeah.
you wanted to be on the front end.
Yeah, so I did that for 3 years, and then I noticed that the company was kind of letting people go here and there, and I was like, oh, maybe they're going out of business, and they did. And
But they were around a long time.
they were
Weren't they actually
well,
owned by the Eckerd's Drugs at the
yes,
time? I
yes.
remember that.
So I don't know if the camps have gone away, but the
organization, it's
in Ocala was closing down.
Yeah.
So I had to go and visit schools to make sure those kids were actually in school. And it was at Oakcrest Elementary.
Okay.
I was offered a position. It was through Eckerd to come on campus and work with kids who had behavior issues. So it was called High Five, the program. And I had to put together like parent night for the community. And so every day I was on campus and kids would come see me, the kids who were considered the ones who misbehaved. And I would do counseling sessions with them, like teach them about how to handle peer pressure and their anger. And I did that for maybe 2 more years. And then I got offered a position
as a teacher.
Yeah, as a teacher. I didn't take the position at Oakcrest. I actually went back. I'm originally from Sumter County. And I went back to my old elementary, and I was hired there by my 5th grade science teacher.
Oh, isn't that cool?
And everybody I've worked with in Sumter County has pretty much taught me. The superintendent was my principal. So I just went back to my roots. And
that was another question I was going to ask. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Sumter County. I was born in Clermont, Florida, but I grew up in Sumter Lake.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And so you know that area pretty well.
I know that area very well.
Yeah.
I came to Marion County 1997, and I was the first class to graduate from Bellevue High School.
Oh my
gosh. The charter
class
in 1998.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a great story. So do you ever go and do business over there in Sumter and Lake?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah. Did you get a lot of business because people know who you are and all that?
Yeah. My first home sale was in Sumter County from a teacher. So I don't really, I definitely do a lot of selling here, but Lake and Sumter, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Definitely.
So what do you think about the market, Sean, right now? What are you seeing?
Well, when I first got into it, all of my houses had 15 and 16 offers.
Right.
And we had to pick and choose what we wanted. But now what I'm seeing is definitely a slowdown on the offers. I'm seeing homes sitting a little longer than they did a couple of years ago. I'm not seeing really the prices go, drop too low. I'm not seeing that. People are still putting their house on the market for a great price.
Right.
But I see they're not moving as fast as
what do you think? Are you seeing a lot of cash right now?
So I think that may be one of the biggest problems right now. A lot of investors,
Yeah.
I've sold a house this year with cash, 14 days, sight unseen. So it's a lot of investors coming along. And if you go on the MLS now, you're not going to find too many homes that is going to accept anything but cash or conventional. And it wasn't like that when I first started.
No.
So it's making it hard for people.
I'm getting the deals that I didn't get over the last 2 years because the sellers are doing more FHA, more VA. They're doing more concessions. They're doing all that. And one of the things that I always talk about during this session is just that home affordability option that, I was talking to my boss the other day and I was telling him, I said, we are like, if we were to put a percentage of how much is cash right now versus finance, it's about 65%, which is high. It's really high.
65 for the cash?
Yeah. And but it's mostly out of state people coming in still bringing in their money. And I still, to this day, because I've been through a crash before, and we are not in that
Yeah,
position.
not yet.
But I can't figure out why people would want to use their own funds today in this economy, because I, to me, I'm hoarding every penny I keep.
Yeah,
You know what I mean.
yeah.
I'm not gonna if I don't have to pay cash, I'm not
Mhm.
going to for what, because I'm worried about what's going to
You sound
happen.
like my husband.
I mean, there's one thing to be said about, you know, having cash is king, right?
Mhm.
Well, in my business, it's not king, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't want people to,
Yeah.
And I'm seeing people that go
Mhm.
into contract. They go in, they're putting so much down. I mean, the mortgages are smaller, so maybe they're worried about things. I don't know, with the rates where they are. There's a
Mhm.
lot of different things that are going on, but one of the things that is kind of cool, and what I'm seeing happening, and it's happened this last 2 weeks.
Mhm.
There's so much, and I've said it before on these videos. When things are like they are right now, from the home affordability, I mean, to your point,
Mhm.
there's a lot of improvised, that, I mean,
Yep.
and let's just call it what it is. Even if they have a full time job and they're making $20 an hour and they have a car
Absolutely.
payment, they're not
Yep.
getting a house.
Nope.
Not in today's world, right?
Nope.
So I know, just from my experience from doing this for so many years and seeing something like this happen, back in 2007, that what happens is lenders, and because the economy relies so much on real estate. I
Mhm.
mean, this is a big factor for the economy. So when houses aren't going, when the real estate's not
Yep.
moving, the economy gets worse.
Yep.
So the lenders have to come up with, okay, well, we know the rates are up, we know the
Mhm.
prices of the homes are up. So what do we have to do in order to make things more affordable so that more people can get into a house?
Mhm.
Well, it's all products, right?
Yep.
So now they're going to come out with new products. So we've got one right now that's out. It's FHA. It's like a down payment assistance, but it basically pays their 3.5%. And so if they have
Oh.
their cash, if they have a little bit of money where they can put something, I mean, we can actually give them up to 5%.
Hmm.
So, but that's one. Then the other Hometown Heroes program,
Mhm.
have you heard about what they're
Mhm.
doing for July?
Mhm.
So that's going to open up to all first-time home buyers. It's not just for
Oh.
so it's all Florida first-time home buyers, and they've raised the cap to 35,000. So it was max 25,000.
Mhm.
Now it's 35. So we don't have all the particulars on it yet. So I'm kind of thinking, because if it's based on 5% of your purchase price that they get the down payment assistance
Mhm.
for, you would have to have a $750,000 mortgage to get the 35,000.
Oh, wow.
Well, and they won't pass the income limits,
Yeah.
So I think what they're going to do is say, instead of 5% of the purchase or the
Mhm.
loan amount, maybe they'll go to 10%, so that gives them more money to put towards the down payment or whatever they want to do it for. So you're going to start seeing a lot of creativity come out. You're going to see 40-year mortgage terms. You're going to see a lot of
Oh,
things
wow.
that, I mean, it'll probably be a 30-year fix with a 10-year, a 40-year
Okay.
balloon with its 30-year fixed. So, after 30 years it balloons, but it's amortized for 40, so it gives them a little bit. Because how many times will people stay in their house 30 years? They're not
Exactly.
going to, right? So,
And it makes that payment
but it makes that
lower
payment
because
lower
you're
for
stretching it
them.
out.
Yep.
So I have a question. Could you be considered a first-time homeowner? Say you owned a home and then you sold the home and then you went into a rental for 3 years.
Yes. The key is 3 years. So that three
That's
is
a
our magic
magic
number.
number. It is. So after 3 years,
You are
okay.
considered first time home buyer.
The reason I'm saying that is because when I did the short sale of my home, I went into living in a duplex. And I think I did stay there for 3 years
Mm-hmm.
because they were saying that, you know, actually it didn't really hurt my credit really bad. Like
No.
I thought that it would. I feel like God really looked out
Mm-hmm.
for me. But 3 years later, they was like, okay, now you can apply.
Actually, it was 2 years. You probably did FHA.
I did. I don't know if it was right at 3, but I was in that
Yeah,
bubble.
yeah.
Yeah.
But right now, I mean, today people don't realize, if they have a bankruptcy with FHA, you only have to wait 2 years. If they had a foreclosure, they don't have to wait 3 years, or a short sale, whatever.
Yeah.
But with conventional, it's 5 and 7 years.
Yeah. I think me
So,
and you talked about this the other day with a client I called you about.
mm-hmm,
So to me, all those programs, like that stuff is needed
mm-hmm,
because people really can't People call me, they have a job, they've been on their job for years, they make decent money. I mean, they may have some debt, but these are our nurses. These are
Yeah,
our just
and now it goes.
policemen and stuff like
Now
that.
it's everybody.
I know,
I
it's
don't
sad.
I don't know why they're opening up. And the one caveat with this program obviously is the veterans don't need to be first time home buyers. So they're the yeah, they can be retired. So that's what I'm doing a lot of right now is veterans with the down payment assistance.
So credit score wise, if you want to get assistance from any of these programs,
640.
640.
Yep. And the challenge that people don't always understand, the down payment programs that are out there, they're there specifically to help people get into a home with very because they know that they don't have a lot of money to work with. But what a lot of people don't understand is you've got to have credit responsibility,
Yep.
right? So they're giving you basically a house with no money into it. So they want to know that you take your credit. I had a person the other day that literally made $3,600 a month, and guess how much her monthly debt was before the house payment?
Oh my God, maybe 28.
3,400.
3,400.
She had $200 left over, and that was her gross number. And she had a husband, but his credit was terrible, so we couldn't put him on. But I'm just like, and I look at this and I go, how do you think that somebody could give you a loan for a $250,000, $300,000 house? And her credit was okay, but it was not as high as it could have been because it was all maxed out. So I see so much of that going on in our society today. We are credit drunk. The young people are credit drunk, and they don't realize, just like what student loan did, all this stuff, they don't realize that it will have to get paid back.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, we're just at the point where, they just don't have the ability to they don't have anybody coaching them. They don't have anybody teaching them. And this is one of the things that I think is important that people like us have the opportunity to get out in masses to these particular folks because a lot of people don't want to deal with them. But if you educate them, just like you said, you went through you learned through a true situation.
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, you learn from hard school knocks, right?
Yeah.
And so you won't ever forget that. And look what it's done for you. So. But we're running out of time. Could you believe how fast it went?
I know.
And the only thing I wanted to ask you before we ended is, do you like to bake?
Who told you that?
Just tell me what you do. Is that a hobby?
Well, I'm going to have to be honest because I'm an honest person. I do not like to bake. But can I bake? Yes.
Do you bake?
I do bake.
Okay.
But my mom is someone who bakes and cooks. She's known by everybody. So I raised up around good food. So I know how to do it, but it's not like, oh, I want to bake you a cake. It's not that, but I can do it. I'm pretty good at it.
Okay.
But
okay.
yeah.
And, all right. And I know that one other hobby is shopping. Looking good, real good, looking fine. Okay. And what else? What's one other thing we need to know about you before you head out?
Well, I like to sing.
Okay.
I'm not going to sing today, but
well, we'll have you come back and we'll do a concert.
I do worship at my church. I'm on the worship team, so I like to sing.
Okay. Yeah. I know that your faith is strong.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, my friend, it has been a pleasure sitting here and talking to you, and I can't wait to help you do whatever you need to do that's going to fulfill your dreams and purpose.
Because you're going to be right here.
I'll be right here.
As long as you can see and hear.
Amen.
And write.
That's right. Okay. I don't have to walk. I just have to be able to
just see, hear, and write.
Well, best of luck to you, and I can't wait to work, together with you for years to come.
I really enjoyed this. I really did.
Great. Thank you. Bye, guys.